All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are live, and you guys know what time it is. Once again, I am Mr. Damon Alvarez, your humble host, Mr. Soul of a Man 504. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to Soulful Conversations, where we bring you the most amazing guests on the planet. And of course, once again, I feel like I have delivered because we have the internationally known. She's a tantra therapist. She's a psychotherapist. She's a world traveler. She's a Reiki energy healer. Her credentials are just like really astronomical and off the charts. You probably know her best from the Soledad O'Brien interview about African Americans moving abroad, especially she moved to Bahia, Brazil. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Ms Renee Adolphe.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. So I'm glad that you messaged me and we're here today. So I'm excited. Can't wait. Can't wait to talk to you and connect to your people, your family.
So let's just just get straight into it. So you're originally from Brooklyn, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you're from Brooklyn and you were living in Washington D.C. when you decided to make the move
hmm
to Brazil. So what initially made you make that jump? Because you were actually very successful, or what people would call successful here in the States, and to do
hmm
that and to move to Brazil, is interesting.
I guess I would say maybe I was crazy. so um, so it's interesting because I I didn't realize, but I'm a nomad, right? And so one of the things with my parents being Caribbean and coming from Haiti, I come from a family that travels. So we
Mm,
traveled all the time. And I was born in, Brooklyn, New York, like you said. I moved to Florida at some point with my parents. Then I moved to Virginia, then Maryland. And so I was already kind of used to not necessarily being in one place. And I was okay with moving and connecting. Now, when I lived in Maryland and I had my private practice, it's just really, really crazy how this came up. One of my clients, she had said to me, she was reading this book called Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert, and that she really identified with the characters. So I was like, let me read this book so I can understand my client more, so I can help her more, right? And then I read the book. And when I read the book, I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. I have to do this Eat, Pray, Love journey. But at the same time, there was so much going on. Like, I had a successful private practice. I worked part time at this crisis center, and I was doing a lot. But at the same time, I was feeling like there's something missing, there's something more to this life,
mhm.
not just work, 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 work. And so when I read this book, Eat, Pray, Love, I was like, oh, I need to do this journey. I need to do this search and figure out what's missing already in my life. So I grew up Christian, right? I'm Catholic specifically. And even during that time, I was already kind of changing where I started going to a Buddhist temple to learn how to meditate. So it just all kind of clicked together at once. And when I saw her being in India, I was like, yeah, I could see myself going to India, and being in India and meditating because I had already started going to this Buddhist temple, meditating,
Mhm.
working on myself spiritually in a different way than when I did as a Christian, right? And I was just going through these changes. So I left the Catholic Church and I joined the Baptist Church. Then I was a non-denominational church, going 5 days a week to like I was in the Bible, going to Bible study. I was in dance ministry, the drama ministry, everything, right? So I was like, when I go into something, I give it my all. So after reading the book, then I was like, okay, I'm going to go on my Eat, Pray, Love journey. And that was what the plan was to, live 3 months in India and then 9 months, in Argentina, because I really wanted to learn Spanish. Brazil was never on my radar. So instead of going to all these different countries like Elizabeth Gilbert did, I was going to divide between India and Argentina. Well, then I had a good friend of mine who was like, why are you going to Argentina? Go to Brazil. There's people who look like you. There's more people who look like you. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to learn Portuguese. I want to learn Spanish. And she's like, nah, but you got to go to Brazil, man. You just have to. And so that's just kind of how it happened. I mean, in between then, just many different things came up along the way, where I ended up going from Argentina to Peru to Ecuador to Colombia. Then I finally made my way to Brazil, and I fell in love with Brazil. And it was just like the culture, the history, the people. I felt at home. I was like, I'm at home. And I could not see myself living anywhere else after that.
So when you initially went to Brazil, was it did you feel like a connection there ancestrally, like you've been there before, or was it more of the vibrancy of the people? You still have the drum there, which is reminiscent of Africa. I know that, Brazil has, they say, like the second largest Black population, in the world. So, what was like that, deciding factor to stay?
Yeah. It's the largest outside of Nigeria. So, when I went there, I felt like I had been there before. I felt at home. Like I felt more at home there than I did in the US. There's just magic to Bahia, right? So when you're there, it's just something it's hard to put into words, but it's like it is like that feeling like you've been there before. Mm-hmm. And it's that feeling of connection to your ancestors, to your history. Just like I've never felt in the US. I'm not saying it doesn't exist there, but I just didn't feel it. And there's so many more people I'm walking around. It's just people who look like me. When you go to eat, the food, and also because my family's from Haiti. So in Haiti, we have a strong connection to the culture of Africa as well. Right. And so when I'm in the US and I'm eating American food, I don't even know what that is. Like, it's like, I don't know. But you come here and it reminds me of like Haitian food, African food. It's made with palm oil. The seasonings are different. There's pepper, there's flavor. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm drooling and I'm like, oh my God, this food is so good. And I think this thing because it also reminded me of the food in Haiti. It also reminded me of the Haitian culture, which is also very close to the African culture, as you can imagine, with the drumming, the dancing. And so when I was there and I'm walking through and I hear drumming in the streets, it's like, I don't know, your heart is beating and you're connecting to just all of life, right? And then the people are so nice. Like, you don't know these people and you see them drumming and you can just walk up and start dancing. And I always do that because I love to dance. And I was like, I'll just go up and start dancing. And then they drum even harder. And they're like, yeah. And they're like, yeah. And then you leave and you don't even know their name, but it's all good. And you see them again and then they remember you. And they're like, hey, come back and join us again. And so it's that culture where people truly remember you. They see you. Mm-hmm. And it's not important what you do. So, when you meet people, they're not like, oh, what do you do for a living? Yeah. They don't care about what kind of car you drive, how expensive your clothes are, what kind of purse you're wearing. It's like they really get to know you, your soul, your heart. And when you're gone and you're traveling, they're like, oh, where have you been? We miss you. And I'm like, when I lived in the States, in my neighborhood, I would travel for 2 weeks, come back. No one even realized I was gone. You know, I don't think my
Right.
neighbors even realized I was gone. And these people here at the local grocery store, my neighbors, they're like, oh, where did you go? And we missed you. And how was it? And it's like, so you feel loved, you feel important, you feel like you belong and you're a part of this. You know that song? I'm dating myself back to when I was older, but there was a TV show called Cheers. And it's like, do you remember? Did you ever see
Yeah,
Cheers?
I remember Cheers. Yeah, when
Cheers.
everybody knows your name. Yeah.
Yeah, don't you want to go where everybody knows your name? So
Yeah.
it's like that. It's like people know you. And it's like, yes.
So it sounds like you can, just live there, just, like you can, like you can live, like you can breathe, where
Mhm.
here in the States, being, African American or being Black, it feels like, you have to watch what you say, you have to watch what you do, you have to watch where you go. And
Mhm.
you have so many different factors that kind of like box you in a sense, but
Right.
there it feels like, people look like you. There may be a little bit of a language barrier, but other than that, it just feels like it's more love. Like every day is like a big family reunion in a sense.
Yeah, it is. It is. And now, I'm not going to lie and say that these things don't exist. That exists
Right.
all over the world. There's racism all over the world. And sometimes, depending on where you are, you do have to think and worry about what you say. But I feel like it's hard and it's sad to say or to even think about this. But me living here as an American, I have privilege,
Mhm.
and it kind of sucks, when you're looking at it from the Brazilian point of view. But Black Brazilians, the Afro Brazilians, they don't have this. A lot of times they're getting killed, they're having to worry about food, whether they're going to have food on their table, if they're going to eat. So there's a lot of things to worry about. But me as a foreigner coming in, you know I have a lot more advantages than they do, and so every day, and I think about it, and that's one of the hard things, and that is one of the sad things for being here and living here and seeing those injustices, you know. Um, but yeah, like as a foreigner being here as a Black woman, I fit in, and they automatically, no one thinks that I'm American. No one ever thinks that I'm American. They think I'm
Mhm.
Brazilian until I start speaking and they hear an accent, and then they'll say, are you from Angola? Because in Angola they speak Portuguese, and so they automatically assume I'm African. you know um but it's beautiful. It's all love. And, I've made Brazilian friends that were white, Black Brazilian, the mixed looking, like Brazilians that they call mulatto in a sense. So
Mhm.
there is a mix of everything. And I've been able to fit in. I've been able to just blend in really well. And honestly, I love it. I love it. Now, I don't know if I would say the same thing if I was Brazilian. If I was born Brazilian and I had
Mhm.
the struggle, that's a whole different thing. You know.
Right. It's almost like if somebody, left, I don't know,
I'm
Europe
not
and
sure if you
came
can
here.
you hear. Okay.
Oh, can you hear me? Yeah, it's almost like if
Mm-hmm.
somebody left Europe and
Say
came
that
here.
again, please.
It's
Yeah,
almost
it
like
kind of
if,
went out. Say that again, please.
it's what? Can you hear me? Hold on.
Yeah, it's going in and out. But say that
Hold
again,
on. Let me
please.
see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It'll come back. It's my laptop right now. It's my internet because it started raining. But I think
Okay.
in a second it should be okay. Can you
All right.
repeat?
Cool. All right. Can you hear me? Yeah. It's almost like if somebody came
I can hear
from.
you.
Okay? Cool. So it's almost like if somebody left Europe. Let's say if they were from Switzerland or the UK, and they came here, and like everything that you're saying is like everything that they would
Mm-hmm.
be saying here. but like you said, like for the for the locals, they don't
Right,
have that
right.
that privilege that that you have, being from being
Right,
from America. So how has this journey
right,
impacted
right.
how has this journey impacted you spiritually? Because I know you live more in a holistic type of a sense, because you're into like a tantric massage and like a tantric energy, which I would really love for you to get into. I was a
Mhm.
massage therapist for 8 years, but I didn't necessarily get into the
Oh,
into the
wow.
tantric realm, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah. So, being here, wow. Wow. Being in Brazil, it just really helped me connect more to nature
Hmm.
and really see how I'm blessed. And it's interesting because when I was here, I saw all the synchronicities begin to happen. I would ask for something and it would happen really quickly. The
Mm.
universe would put someone in my place on my path that I needed to meet and talk to for some reason. And so, really, just being here, it made me so much more spiritual. It made me just believe more and trust in the universe more. You know, like, I don't know what it is. Like when I lived in the US, I would pray for something and I would ask for something. And it's not that it didn't happen, it would happen. But I felt like here it was so much more pronounced and so much quicker that it was
Mm.
just like,
Okay.
wow, we really are connected to the universe. We really are all connected. And we have the power to manifest. We have the power to create the life that we want. And I think because I wasn't rushing and in my day to day, when I lived in the
Mm.
US, I was working more. So I didn't really have the
Right.
time to just sit back and allow the universe to bring me what I asked for. So now that I'm here in Brazil and I'm not working 60 hours a week like before, or 40 hours a week, honestly, I might work like 20 hours a week max. And I don't want to work more than that. Yeah, like I'm serious, you know. I work
Yeah.
20 hours a week max. And I'm just like, how did I ever do that in the States? How did I ever work 60 hours a week? Because there might be a day where I'm going to get a massage, I'm going to the acupuncture, I'm meditating, and then my day is gone. And I'm like, how would I ever have been able to go and work an 8-hour day today? Like, I'm like literally taking care of myself. And so, and it's like acupuncture is a part of my routine, meditation is a part of my routine. And so I can't see myself working 40 hours a week because I got to take care of myself. And I got out of this system, and this is what's helping me to connect and grow more and manifest more that I want. Like when I lived in the States and I was running around ragged, running myself ragged, I always wanted to do retreats around the world. Like my email, my first email, my main email was retreatswithrenee@gmail.com. Now I have my prandata@gmail.com. But that's because I wanted to do retreats around the world and I never got to do it. And it wasn't until I left the States and moved to Brazil and I'm actually focusing on myself, loving myself, taking care of myself, that things started to flow. And not
Mm.
only did I start doing retreats around the world, I'm doing workshops around the world. I'm going to Thailand, Bali, um, Peru, Colombia. I did workshops in Bolivia, and in the States. I'm going back and forth to the States. So I'm doing what I wanted to do when I lived in the States, but I didn't have the means. I wasn't able to achieve that, accomplish that. And so sometimes we think we got to work until we die, and that's not what we were put here for. We were put here to really figure out what our soul's purpose is. What is your life's purpose? And how do we best do that? And because I was able to step out of that system, step out of that grinding, that working of enslavement, like literally being a slave, working 60 hours a week and not really being able to even take care of myself, go to the chiropractor if I wanted to, go to acupuncture if I wanted to, because by the time I got off work, the office was closed. So now that I've actually been able to put self-care into my system and work a whole lot less, things are flowing, things are coming to me, and I'm able to live in my life's purpose, And so there is another way. There are other ways. And so sometimes when we're stuck in that system, we don't see another way. We don't see that there's other things that we can do,
Yeah, and that's amazing. And I tell I tell my clients that all the time, like getting more into that system of believing, that you can, and that you don't necessarily have to, like you said, you don't have to be stuck in this system, that'll where you feel like you're in competition, with everybody else. Like you said, working 60 hours a week, and you barely have time to you barely have time to breathe. Yeah. So it sounds like you're just living your best life out there, and that's where I feel, especially in this 2020, it's really sat a lot of people down. And it's like, okay, look, you need to deal with your life, because obviously you're not happy going to work. Now some people are working from home, they're homeschooling their kids. So it's like, some people have opened up businesses, but I always say, sometimes through chaos, that brings, that brings a lot more opportunity to people's lives. So for you in this 2020, what was like some or some of the lessons that you've learned, like just from within, just from meditation, just reflecting, and just maybe dealing with other people like on that spiritual level?
Yeah, one of the biggest thing is laugh. Be okay with laughter, laughing at yourself, laughing at the world, laughing at the universe. We take everything so seriously.
Yes.
And it's like, for what? It's like, just laugh. You did something stupid, laugh at that.
Exactly.
You made a mistake, laugh at that. It's okay. You're going to correct that. It's going to get better. It's going to be all right. It's all right. And breathe. That's another thing that I learned, right? We got COVID. COVID came out, and we realized how much we're not breathing, that we're taking shallow breath. Our chest, we're not breathing deep breath, and breathe. Breath is life. Right. Breath is life. So those are the two biggest things that I've learned. Go ahead.
And like you said, I think the one main important thing is just, like you said, living, getting more into yourself. Make sure you're good, before you go charging out there trying to save the world. I think that's I think that kind of hurts a lot of people, or really, stops them from living their best life and just having that peace and that eternal happiness in a sense. So,
right. And we're so used to, oh my God, we got to fix this. This is broke. We got to fix it. Well, right. Life is an art. Tantra says that, sex is an art. Life is an art. So, being in that moment, breathing, being an observer and feeling allows you to say, okay, what can I do now? Like, instead of trying to fix, being here and going with the flow. Okay. Things are always going to be different. Each day is going to be different. Each relationship is going to be different. Everything that you're doing, instead of trying to say, okay, how do I do this? This is the formula that I learned. If A plus B, then C. How about instead of having to do this way, opening up to the universe and just flowing and just allowing that to come to you, allowing what needs to be done to come to you. And when you open up, information comes to you. We're intuitive beings.
Right.
We got to learn to get out of our head and stop trying to be like, okay, I got to fix this. This has to be perfect. When you just flow, things are going to work exactly how it's supposed to be. you know?
Yeah. And
When we try to control,
yeah,
when we try to
right.
control, things
People
go
feel like,
wrong.
we gotta get it now. We gotta control everything.
And we're not in control. Honestly, we're not in
Right.
control. So it's like, let go of that false need for control and just flow, live, love, laugh.
So I was and doing some research about you initially, before you got like more into the tantra. I think you said you went somewhere and you met this lady, and you approached her and you said, hey, I don't know if you asked her, do you teach tantra or something like that? And it ended up with you like learning in this commune, I believe you dated, yeah, for like 2 years, and you were like massages, and you had me at massage. I was like, man, sign me up, like literally.
Yeah, so you did your research. So it's so funny. So I was studying shamanism, right? So
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work as a medicine woman, working with plant medicine and things like that. So I was actually in a shaman course, or workshop, something like that. And there was a lady that was sitting across the room. And I looked at her, and Tantra came, and I was like, she works with Tantra. I don't know. Tantra was coming. And so I went to her, didn't know her name. And I was like, do you do Tantra? Do you work with Tantra? And she was like, yeah, I'm a Tantric therapist. And she was like, I just had a Tantric night with my husband. And I was literally thinking about my night with him last night. And I was like, whoa, because I was feeling that. I was like, that energy came to me, and I just needed to come to you. Like, I was like, I don't know this woman. She gonna think I'm crazy. But it was so strong. You were vibrating that Tantra love, and I had to come to you because I want that. And so she was telling me about, she was like, yeah, I'm a Tantra therapist, and I studied through this commune, metamorphosis, and this is where I was, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, okay, what? Give me the information. I'm going. And like, literally, I had my apartment in Salvador, and this is when I left Salvador. And so I left that apartment, and it was all great timing because my lease was ending. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, all right, I'm not renewing my lease. And I had sent that message, and they were like, come, you can stay here. And I ended up moving into the commune. Now, most people don't necessarily move and live there, but I was like, like I said, when I go in, right? Yeah. I go in. And I was like, I'm not going there 1 week at a month just to take a class. Like, I went in and I moved and I lived there. I was doing Tantra yoga every morning, Tantric meditation, learning about Tantric massage. And I lived there for like 1.5 years. So, and then when I left, that's when I came to Rio, and I was in between Rio and Salvador, Okay. So, yeah, just the work with Tantra was flowing more in Rio than in Salvador. So I came to Rio for work purposes, but my heart was always in Salvador. So I would do a few months in Rio, a few months in Salvador. Then I got stuck here with COVID. So I'm here in Rio now, missing my Salvador, Bahia. But yeah, and I mean, I grew so much. Like, when we hear Tantra, we think automatically about tantric sex, or even just a tantric massage, and those are parts of it. But that's like, maybe like 20% of what Tantra is. So Tantra really is about learning to channel your energy so that you can manifest more, so that you're connected to everything, learn that everything is connected. And Tantra is about expansion, right? Expanding. And so I expanded even more in the sense of learning to be more present, learning to be more focused, being able to have more intimate relationships, having deeper relationships with other people, and just really doing my healing work. And that work with Tantra is intense. You're releasing those traumas. You're releasing those blockages in your body, because we have cellular deep memory.
Yeah.
So we hold onto traumas. we hold onto blockages in our bodies through that cellular memory. So it's through doing the tantric meditation, which are active, where we're moving and we're shaking and we're jumping up and down and doing this stuff, right? And like do the tantric massage as well. These are the different techniques that's like releasing it. And so for me, this is why I can't go back to being a traditional psychotherapist like I once was, because the psychotherapy is good, but the Tantra is a great complement to it. Because when we do traditional psychotherapy, we stay in our head, we stay in our mind. We have all of these aha moments, but we're not changing completely, right? We're like, okay, I see why I'm doing this. I understand, that makes sense, but I haven't done that next step to actually change. Right. And so that's when the tantric therapy comes in, because now you have that, but now we're doing the work to release it from our bodies, because it gets stuck in our body and it's hard to change. So, it's a good complement. So now in my work, I'm doing that psychotherapy piece, but then I'm also doing that energy work. I'm doing that other piece to really release it from your body, move things, get those things moving, get that energy moving, so that we can really change and grow and heal,
Right. And it's true. Like what you were saying about, muscle memory, in the body. And I remember going to massage school and they would say, like if you touch somebody in a certain way, they would have these emotional releases, like they back in school. And like you were saying, I really feel like, more African Americans or just Black people in general can heal. That's one thing we really need to do, because you go online, you see, Black people just fighting and bickering with each other.
Right.
Everybody, like you said, everybody's all angry and, in this, in this fast hustle and bustle, trying to, get nowhere fast. And, and so when how long have you actually been there? How long have you been living in Brazil now?
Coming up on 10 years. I moved here in 2011, beginning of 2011, man, at 10 years. So, and it's so true. So a lot of times, when you're talking about, just certain touch and having that emotional release. So a lot of times people come to me and they're like, oh, I want to get a tantric massage, right? And they're like, yeah, because I want to feel good and I want to have this experience. And I'm like, yo, this is work. It's not just you going to be having all this pleasure, but it's making room for that. Like I've had people come in and I'm massaging and they just start crying. But never fail when they leave. They feel relaxed. They feel like they let go of so much stuff that they didn't even know that they were holding on to. So it's just like, man, it's like, yeah, like it's certain touches, like you're saying, that just releases so much, right? And it's so this work is just so important. And this is why I'm so, like what you were saying in terms of, you go online, you're on TV, you're on the news, you're listening, and all you see is the fighting and the arguing and the killing and all of this stuff. And this is why I'm so adamant about this work, because Tantra is about love. It's about more connections. It's about intimacy and realizing that we're all connected, and we can't go on doing this. We can't go on hurting each other, because when you hurt someone else or you talk bad to someone else, you're doing that to yourself. And each time you hurt someone else, you're killing off a little part of you. And so, and so that's why I'm like, we need to spread this. We need to care about each other more. We need to speak more loving, kind words to each other. We need to help uplift each other, and this is what life is all about. And this is why I love coming in and talking about these things. I love talking about these subjects, and I love talking about sex. We haven't gotten into sex yet, but I love talking about it too, because there's so much taboo about it. And it's like, oh, sex is wrong. It's evil. It's a sin. But no, like we come from sex. It's a healthy part of ourselves. And that same way, we need to talk about it more and make it just like we're talking about what we ate last night, what we're going to go buy. It needs to be so natural. And I truly believe the more that we naturalize sex and sexuality, the less sexual abuse we're going to have, the less rape we're going to have, the less of these sexual traumas we're going to have. And so We need to normalize this. We need to be able to talk about this because there's just so much dysfunction in this world. And so I'm so passionate about this. And this is why I'm always just so open to go in and talk with different people about this subject.
So Tantra, from hearing you talking, it feels like it's kind of like a growth from within of the human spirit, so that people can go up higher in a sense, but they go, you have to kind of go within to yourself to deal with these things, to release, so that you can so how would you, let me ask, how would you describe the energy of Tantra in a sense? Or how would you describe the feel of the energy?
So that's hard because energy is energy, right? Everybody's going to feel something different. So I can't say this is what you're going to feel, because then you're going to be like, oh, I didn't feel that. Well, something's wrong with me, right? And so, the best example I can give you is, how do you feel? What is your question? How do you feel the energy of Tantra?
Yeah, how would you describe the energy?
Feeling something good, feeling a movement, feeling a change within you. Everything is energy. Your laptop is energy. This chair that I'm sitting on is energy, but when you sit on this chair, you're going to feel something completely different than I feel sitting on this chair. Your shirt is energy. You putting on your shirt and me putting on that shirt is going to be a completely different sensation. Someone could put their hand on me, on my head, and I'll have an orgasm. Like, I really will. But you're not going to feel that same thing. That energy that you feel is going to be different. Like, literally, I had a friend, she's a little bit taller than me. And I was looking at her phone, and her hair was like brushing on me, and she was like moving. And I started like having an orgasm, like literally, because I'm just so open. And she was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Your hair is making me have orgasm. She's like, what the hell? And I was like, yeah, like, I'm just very open. And like, just, just this. She was like, oh my God. But she knows me. So she was like, oh, I understand, and it's all good. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Let's just move your hair away from me so that this is not happening. So I moved over. But so I don't know. Did that answer your question? So Tantra is just like, it's just everything. Like, I mean, everything is like, in my opinion, everything is Tantra. Like, did I answer that? I hope I did. In my little analogy.
Basically, it varies by experience.
It varies by experience, because no two people are going to have the same experience.
Right.
And so, and honestly, Tantra, there's so many definitions for the word of Tantra. You can go read so many different books, and each book is going to have a different definition of Tantra, because it's hard to put Tantra into a box. So we can't put it in a box and say, this is what it is. This is what the energy looks like. Because you and I can do the same exact tantric work. We can do the same exact tantric practice, like waking up, doing the same exact yoga positions, the same exact breath work, and your experience is going to be completely different from mine. Your awakening is going to be completely different from mine. Your growth is going to be completely different from mine. You can't put it in a box, It's impossible.
It kind of froze up there a little bit, but we're good.
Oh, okay. Okay. Were you able to hear?
Yeah, we're still going through. Yeah. I heard you. I definitely heard you loud and clear. So, with you now living in Brazil, and with it being so like traditional, like the like, I would say, like, the more the African experience, in a sense. I know there's different cultures and things in Brazil, but are you able to? Do you feel like you said earlier, are you able to connect with your ancestors, through your lineage more, because your crown chakra is just shining, and it feels very powerful, It feels
Thank
like you said, you get things, and I can see that because it's, because it's there, and it's very, very visible, to those that can see it. But yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, no problem.
I would love to be able to see it. Yeah. So, yeah, it's so interesting because again, my family's from Haiti, and there's a very strong spirituality in Haiti. And so me living in Brazil, I had already been to Haiti a few times, but after living in Brazil, it made me want to connect more to my ancestors. And it made me go back to Haiti to see things in a different way, and I now have an ancestor altar up. I never had that before, but I have an ancestor altar up since living here, and I've connected more to my ancestors. I connected more just as to spirituality. And so I have more of a routine where I'm sitting, I'm communing with them, I'm meditating, every day before I start my day. I have my meditative practice and I'm doing stuff. So I think that's the thing that's opening me up. And when I have this, it opens up my intuition. And it's great because when I'm doing a session with a client, sometimes it comes to me to say something or I feel something, I don't have that. I don't see. That's why I say I want to see I want to see my aura, but I feel, and I have that intuitive knowing, and I hear. And so I've always been one to feel, but I didn't know what that was, right? I remember growing up in the States, it really shuts off our intuitive sense, and we're all intuitive people. We all have some type of intuition, whether it's through seeing, through feeling, or through hearing. We have something. And so I remember when I was a kid, I would always feel like a presence, and I would look around and I don't see anyone. And it was but that my ancestors were there and I could feel them, but I couldn't see them. And I'm like, what is this that I'm feeling? It would be so weird. And I never talked to anyone about it because I was like, well, this is strange. What am I going to say? I feel something that's not there. And then people are going to be like, what? So you don't, you grow up and you don't talk about these things. And so then I become a psychotherapist and I'm training, and I'm like, oh, if this happens, that means that person is psychotic. So then it's you completely shut that down, right? And then moving here in Brazil, I studied I did a postgraduate transpersonal psychology course, and it was awesome. My teachers were like, oh, when you feel this energy, it's your ancestors, and we have spirit guides, and they come and you can feel them and you can talk to them. And I'm like, whoa, this is what was happening. And it's nice to actually be in a psychology course training where they acknowledge this and they know that this happens, and he actually teaches me how to decipher from what's crazy, what's really psychotic, and what's actually really connecting and being able to feel and have that gift, and so I'm like, oh my God, there is a clear difference. And I can no longer say, what I learned in the US and that Western psychology, that because I'm hearing something and I'm seeing something, you're automatically psychotic and need to go on medication, right? Because it does exist where there's different entities or spirits that connect to us, And so I've grown so much more just being outside of the American culture and being exposed to different spiritual point of views, different religions, the condom lay here, I got to see even from Haiti, the voodoo culture, so different, right? Being in the States, they instill so much fear on us. And even growing up, you would see these movies and you would hear all these different things. And you're like, oh, voodoo is horrible, it's evil. Coming here and living in Brazil and connecting to that religion, I'm like, there's nothing evil about this. We're not killing people. It's all about connecting to the universe, to the spirits, to the elements. And it's so powerful that I'm like, oh, this is why they instilled this fear, because it's something that's so powerful that us as Black people or African American, this is what's our power. And so really to dominate and control us, they had to tear that down. They had to say, join our religion, turn the other cheek, allow us to keep slapping you, spitting on you, killing you, doing all of this stuff, and you just be submissive and keep allowing it, as opposed to having us be empowered by our religion, right? So this is all about dominating and controlling us. And we've fallen for that. I've fallen for that. And I'm Haitian American. And I'm like, and I thought voodoo was horrible. But then moving here, I'm like, no, this is our power. And this is one of the things that I love about Beyonce now. Like, she's studying the African religion and she's seeing how it's our power, and she's connecting to that, and she's talking about it. And what was it that they did in the US? She's talking about our culture and our power. And they're like, oh, Beyonce's doing this demonic stuff and she's worshiping devils. It is all about instilling that fear on us, so we're not empowered. And you know, and I want to take this back to Haiti, right? Haiti was the first country to gain its independence in 1804. And how did that happen, right? We had a voodoo ceremony. We connected to our ancestors, and it was nothing evil about it. Connected to our ancestors who came and spoke to us and told us, this is how you're going to win that war. This is how you're going to gain that freedom. And that's what we did. And ever since, France got really afraid of us because of that, connected to the US and started tearing us down, right? You owe this money. Let's stop the export. Let's make them poor, and let's instill this fear, because that the voodoo, that religion was so powerful that it helped the small little country, these indigenous people, win a war against huge France. So that's when it started. And they're like, hey, the voodoo is evil. Haitians are evil. And what happened as Americans in these different cultures? You buy that, you believe that, right? And you allow them to strip us of our power. And what happened? Haiti, they brought people in from all different countries and gave freedom. They gave, what do you call that? They gave people a place to be able to stay. Even during Holocaust, they allowed people to come there from Holocaust to stay there, and gave them, there's a word that's not coming to my mind. But anyway, you know, help so many. And then France and the US combined to really tear us down. And so it wasn't until I moved to Brazil that I began to study that culture and learn and be like, open up and awaken to what our colonizers keep trying to hold us back and hold us down, you know? So
right. It's like that.
I said a lot to answer your question.
You know, knowledge, you know, like it goes right into what I'm about to say. You know, it's like that saying, for my people suffer for a lack of knowledge, you know, and, you know, me being from New Orleans, and New Orleans having, like, you know, right after the Haitian Revolution, from what I can understand, you know, a lot of Haitians came over from Haiti to New Orleans, you know, so, and, you know, with New Orleans, the study of, you know, voodoo and hoodoo and everything, it was almost like it was whispered, but nobody ever really, you know, because New Orleans has a very deep spiritual, you know, lineage. But like you said, you know, people would like kind of whisper it, but you don't really kind of get it until you like get older, or if you were like in a family that traditionally practiced like that. But, you know, unfortunately,
yeah, exactly. And so, you know, so that's the thing. We remain stuck in what we've been taught, and in our education in the Western world, there's so much we haven't been taught. Like when we look in the history books, you know, we're not taught our culture. We're not taught the truth. There's so much stuff that's withheld, and it's just like, you know, so it's through growth, it's through exploring, it's through traveling, it's through being open to learn these different things, you know. So.
And and I just want to thank you for your journey. How you walk with like so much power now, so much confidence. Like how you can walk into a room and it feels like just from energy alone, you can just calm it down. Just kind of
Mm-hmm.
bring it to peace. Like your energy,
Yeah.
you got white energy for like healing. Then there's like this red energy for the passion and the
Right.
things that you want to do, for the things that you want to bring to life. I hope that you're working on the book, so that you can so that you can put something out for the people, because I feel like it's really needed. It is
Yeah.
so needed.
Thank you. So many people say that, and I have not. And I'm like, oh my God, I know I have to write a book.
Oh
So
my
many people keep
goodness.
saying that. And it's like, I don't know, where do I even start?
I know you could write about you could write about your journey and traveling. You can write about healing. You can write about culture. So there's just so much that, you can, I would say get started.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
would say,
Well,
oh my goodness, I would really say get started. But I just really want to thank you, for your time and for your energy. And I really want to come to Brazil. Guess once the world reopens or reshapes, or whatever the world is transforming into right now, because so many people
yeah.
want to go back to the old.
And
But
it's not.
the ancestors, you can say God's universe is opening up something so different, so new, so unique. And I mean, it was really about time for it anyway. So
Yeah.
it just so happened that it happened in the amazing year of 2020. So
Yeah.
as we come to a close, is there any, well, first, can you tell people where they can find you and get in touch with you for, your services and products that you offer?
Yes, yes. So you can find me on my website at www.prandataprim.com. I'm going to write it here real quick for you. And you can put that. And then IG is where I have it right here, Prandataprim _ Tantra. And on Facebook, you can find me as well at Renee Adolphe. Yes.
Okay, and thank you. Man, I feel like, again, I just want to thank you. And this year has been, for me, it's been interesting because I've been able to reach out and connect with people. I feel like you are a celebrity, in a sense, because I really do. I really feel like you are, because I've been talking to different singers and whatever. But I really feel like you're not just that level, but you're just on a level of your own. And it's just like so much beauty that you're bringing to the world. And, and I wanted to thank you. And I wanted to honor you by just really I love just having conversations. I love just sitting down having conversations with people so that,
Wow.
so that a different audience can, get to know you and, like you can let the world know, and continue to know who you are and what you bring, to this amazing universal table that we're all sitting at.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Beautiful words. I loved it. I loved it. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a joy. So yes, I can be reached again on IG at Prandataprim _ Tantra, or my website, www.prandataprim. And my email is prandataprim@gmail.com. So it's simple. Best way to find me. And thank you again. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Yeah, we definitely have to do this again.
Yeah.
I know 2021 is going to be interesting as well, but I would love to have you back on, sometime, next year, but we'll work that out though.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right.
And
Thank
again,
you.
folks, so as we bring this to a close, my name is, again, you guys know who I am, Mr. Damon Alvarez, aka Mr. Soul Lover Man, and aka Mr. Soul Lover Man, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, folks, we are out this. Peace. Peace.